What's going on, YouTube? The Raptor has undoubtedly been one of the coolest trucks money can buy since it first came out. But Ford is not content to just sit idle, and is instead making extensive changes this year to add even more capability to what was already one of the most capable vehicles in the world. Of course, as always, we want to thank our friends at Madison County Ford Lincoln for providing us with this fully loaded Raptor. If you're in the market for any new Ford, be sure to stop by their dealership or visit them on their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with all that said, let's go ahead and check out the updated Super Performance truck. So starting out with the exterior design. Beyond capability, this might be the main reason for the Raptor's market success. There's simply nothing else on the road that looks like it. So for this 2019 refresh, Ford has left this aspect alone. The grille continues to have the giant Ford lettering, and the legally required clearance lamps since it's over 7 feet wide. Punctuating the grille are full LED headlights that are completely distinct from the regular F-150. They have a more intricate cube design that is surrounded by one continuous accent light. And then finishing off the front design, you have an aggressive front bumper with a large hole in it, perfect for viewing those new Fox shocks that I'm getting ready to talk about. But continuing with the design, the rest of the truck also has a mean look. The fenders are greatly flared, and we also have the optional graphics package which adds the decal to the side. Now the Raptor can be had in two different configurations, the Super Cab with a rear half door, or this full 4-door Super Crew that we have. No matter what though, the bed will always be 5.5 feet long. One of my favorite elements is the distinct Ford branding across the back, but do be aware that the base model won't get this. Lower end models will also have a different taillight design than what you see here on this 802A. And then rounding off the design are rear mounted dual exhaust. So overall, it's easy to declare this as the coolest looking truck straight from the factory. But, of course, the Raptor is about far more than just looking great. Its real focus is ultimate capability, which brings me to the biggest 2019 update, the Fox shocks that now feature live valve technology. This means that they are able to constantly make adjustments to the compression rate within milliseconds, using information that they collect via sensors all over the vehicle. This not only is helpful for the Raptor off-road, but it also greatly reduces body roll experienced on-road. The actual travel on the shocks remain the same at 13 inches in the front and 13.9 inches in the rear. The enormous 11.5 inches of ground clearance and approach and departure angles of 30.2 and 23.1 degrees all carry over respectively. Now checking out the wheels, they will always be 17 inches, though these specific ones are the optional forged aluminum beadlock capable wheels. As far as the tires, they are BF Goodrich all-terrain tires, which were specifically designed for Raptor duty. With the 802A package, the mirrors are fully loaded with heating, power folding, auto dimming, as well as blind spot monitoring. And then as far as all your other safety systems, pre-collision assist with pedestrian detection is newly standard this year. And then adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, and auto high beams can be added via the technology package. Coming back around to the rear, like the regular F-150, the tailgate is remote releasing. In addition to your regular stuff like LED lighting and accessory hooks, our model also has the optional tailgate step system. The last thing to talk about on the outside is the fuel ranges. Even though all models get the same MPG, the Super Cab has a 26-gallon tank, and the Super Crew a 36-gallon one. So this obviously means that Super Crew's range is much larger, at 576 miles versus 416. But anyways, that covers everything on the outside. So now let's go ahead and hop inside and see what Ford has changed in there. So when you go for the 802A package, you do get smart entry with the special Raptor branded key fob. Additionally, it does have some dark tinted buttons as well as a remote start system. Of course, to get inside the vehicle, all you have to do is just grab the handle. Now first, looking inside the 2019 Raptor, as you can tell, nothing's really changed from last year, so it continues to have a really cool cabin. Now this is pretty much the only way you can get a Raptor, black. However, you can get cloth or leather. The leather starts on the 801A package and up. And then turning over here to the door trim, it is pretty much the same as every F-150. So you have a nice leather pad here on the armrest, as well as soft touch plastic above it, and then a nice little accent right here. Now your front two windows are one-touch automatic, and then with the 802A package, you will find 3-person memory seating as well. And then turning over here to the seats themselves, they are 10-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar on all but the base Raptor. Now for 2019, the seats have seen a bit of a redesign. So this standard seat here, as you can tell, now has a new cloth insert with a special pattern down through here, as well as a gray piece of leather to add a little contrast. For 2019, you can now opt for a Recaro seat if you prefer as well. Now, of course, this is a very, very tall vehicle. However, we do have our cast iron running boards, as well as a assist grip, so getting in is not too difficult. So looking around the cabin, like I've said in previous Raptor videos, it's really exceptional that you don't have to give up any of the luxury for the extreme capability. So all of your upper dash continues to be soft touch plastic with a stitching detail, so long as you don't choose the base Raptor. Then you've got some more trim through here. And then your lower areas have the same silver painted trim and really nice build quality that all F-150s have. Now, like many of the things, if you have the 802A package and up, you can just press the button to start. When you do, you will find an 8-inch touch display fire up with Sync 3. As well as your 7-inch digital gauge cluster. Now these gauges are pretty much the same as what you find in other F-150s. However, we do have special off-roading and performance applications. So you can go here and hit the Raptor status, and this just basically gives you a overall summary of all the different things going on with your vehicle right now, your drive modes, your terrain mode, your different angles of the steering, and different modes like that. And then you can click back, check your off-road status, as well as your power distribution as well. So overall, this is just a really nice setup. It gives you all the information in one convenient place. Now coming back to the steering wheel, you have a really, really nice steering wheel. Thick rimmed, beautiful contrast stitching, as well as dedicated Raptor badging. Buttons themselves are the same as in the standard F-150, so you have your gauge buttons right there, your adaptive cruise control on this model, as well as your various volume, phone, and voice commands. However, my favorite part by far is got to be these paddle shifters. These are made of solid magnesium, and they are huge, really satisfying to click through, and as you can hear, just make that great sound. Some of the nicest paddles that are in any vehicle I've ever been in. On this particular model, we do have rain sensing wipers. We also have the power adjusting steering wheel, as well as heating that come in the 802A package. Off to the side, you've got your light controls for the mirrors, as well as your headlight controls. Power adjusting pedals that come in the 802A package, as well as an electronic parking brake, which this year is now automatic. Now real quickly, I want to circle back to these buttons since I skipped over them. These are actually the buttons that control your drive modes and your terrain management system. So hitting this up and down arrow, this cycles you through your normal, deep snow, baja, rock crawl, slippery. You've also got a tow mode and a sport mode. Then you can hit the little steering wheel button, and that gets you in your comfort, sport, or normal steering mode. Now going back to the storage component, it's basically the same as every other F-150. Now this glove box is actually locked right now, so I won't be able to open it up, but it is the same as in the standard F-150. And then up in the front, you got this slender storage area here, 2 cup holders, as well as this other large and deep area right here, which is great for a phone. In there you do find your 2 USB ports as well, and then you get your 12-volt outlet and household outlet up here. Now moving on to the shifter, this is the same as every other F-150. So you can go back to drive, and you can go to the M to shift manually here, or via those awesome paddle shifters. When you go into reverse, you will find a 360-degree camera system, standard on the 802A model. As you can see, you've got both your regular view and your 360 view, and then you can zoom in, as well as cycle through this button to get your full view, as well as your split view to see the corners of the vehicle. So overall, this is a really good system and definitely appreciated in something so big. And then, like I already mentioned, the electronic parking brake is automatic. Now moving on from that, you'll find your basic 4-wheel drive controls, as well as your trailer brake controller. However, we also have the optional trailer backup assist. Now this is really cool. It's available in other F-150s as well. And basically you just twist this knob where you want your trailer to go, and then the truck controls where the steering goes. Heading over here to the climate control, it is dual zone automatic on the 802A package. Very simple to use. All you have to do is, of course, twist these knobs, and then the information appears up here, or you can also adjust it up here if you prefer. And then back down here, the base model has neither ventilation nor heating. Heating gets added in the 801A package, and then ventilation gets added in the 802A package. But anyways, now let's go ahead and sample the Bang & Olufsen audio system that comes with the 802A package. I'm always very impressed by Bang & Olufsen sound systems, and this is no different. But anyways, that pretty much brings us to our Sync 3 system, so let's go ahead and take a quick look. So checking out the Sync 3 system, this is the same as you've seen in all other Fords. So you continue to have a nice home screen, and then you've got all your shortcut buttons across the bottom. This is also where you would turn on and off your heated steering wheel if you have that equipped. So starting out in audio, you can play and pause your music straight from here. And then you can click into here to see all your other audio sources, including your applications like Pandora or Spotify. Now one thing worth noting is we have navigation. This is available through the 802A package only on the Raptor. However, if you do opt for it, it is a very nice system. But if you choose not to, you will still have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay to give you the ability to use Google or Apple Maps. And then the one last thing I want to touch on is here in the settings. You will now find in 2019 the Ford Pass Connect. That basically is your mobile hotspot, as well as gives you the ability to control certain things via an app on your phone. You do have 3 gigs or 3 months of a trial period. and you can turn it on and off here, as well as find your password as well. But that's pretty much all I'm going to cover in this video for Sync 3. However, we do have a detailed Sync 3 tech help video available for those of you who want to learn more. A link to that is provided in the video description. Now, one other 2019 change I want to talk about is this button right here. This used to be your hill descent control, and it is now your trail control. So basically, instead of just working downhill, you can now activate this button, and you essentially have an off-road cruise control that works 0 to 20 miles per hour, uphill, downhill, flat, any situation, and just allows you to focus on the steering. Moving on up, we do have an auto-dimming mirror, as well as our HomeLink universal remote on the 802A package. Additionally, you will also find a panoramic moonroof on this model. This was a $1,500 option. As you can see, it goes all the way back, and the front portion fully opens up, so it really makes for a spacious and airy feeling. Additionally, you do have the power rear window, as well as all of these auxiliary connections. These basically allow you to put different accessories on there, different lights and stuff like that, and then you can simply just flip these switches to control all those aftermarket parts. But overall, the Raptor's cabin is a great place to spend time. There's really nothing to complain about, especially on this model. We have $16,000 worth of options, so it's really very luxurious in here. You're not giving up any type of feature from a standard F-150 to have all this capability, and that really is an awesome thing. But anyways, now I'll go ahead and hand it off to Mason, who will finish up the rest of the cabin.
In the back of the 2019 Raptor, you're going to find a ton of space just like you would in any F-150. The technical measurement comes in at 43.6 inches of legroom, which is about as big as it gets for any class or any type of vehicle. Now, turning over here to the door trim is just like any F-150, so it is made of nice materials, with the padded material here, the door handle, as well as a power window switch. Now, it is also very usable since you do have plenty of storage here. You have one here, a bin down here, as well as a bottle holder. Now, the seat itself is a very soft design. You do have a little bit of like a cloth material here. It's a very cool design, same one that's in the front. And you will also find an inflatable seatbelt on the 802A package. Now, it is also worth noting that you can fold these seats up to give you plenty of space, just like in the regular F-150. So you could probably fit 2 entire bicycles back here. That's how much space there is. Now, to get in, just use the cast iron running boards that have Raptor branding, as well as the assist wheel. Now, in the back, of course, the Raptor is a crazy off-road truck, but you wouldn't think it based on the amenities. You do have cup holders up top, as well as nice rear air vents, and tons of connections. So you will find 2 charging USB ports, a 12-volt outlet, as well as a household-style outlet. In addition to that, the fully loaded model with the 802A package will also have 2 stage heated rear seats. So really, you're not missing out on anything from the F-150 platform. Now, here in the center area, you do have a fold-down armrest with pop-out cup holders. And up top, we don't have it open, but there would be a gigantic panoramic moonroof that really airs up the cabin. And off to the side, we do have some LED lighting, a coat hook, and a really nice headliner. Now, like I mentioned, there is tons of space in the back of the F-150. So I have about 1.5 feet of leg room, and my feet can easily slide up under the seat. And sliding over here with it scooted all the way back, so this would be like for a gigantic person in the front, I still have about 8 inches of leg room. So overall, you're going to be really happy in the Raptor's rear seat. It has all of the luxury touches from the F-150 Platinum, but yet it's a crazy off-road and amazing vehicle. We will talk about the pricing here in a minute. Now, of course, the passenger seat does have Raptor branding as well. It's a really beautiful seat. And on this model, it is also 10-way power adjusting with power lumbar support, and that is included on both the 801A and 802A. Now, in front of the passenger, you do still have the really nice materials from the F-150 Platinum with a stitched padded dashboard, as well as some storage below that, and a really good sized glove box. Sun visor is lit, it does have a mirror, and it can also detach and extend. But well guys, that covers all the boring stuff in here, so now let's go ahead and get to the real reason you buy a Raptor, the powertrain.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk a bit about the powertrain. And of course, that's one of the things that makes this truck so special, and that's that you have a 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6. But it's not just the normal version, it's the high performance version. It makes 450 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque. And that's enough to get this gigantic truck to 60 in only 5.1 seconds, which is as fast as your typical sports car. Your only transmission is a 10-speed automatic, and obviously you do have standard 4-wheel drive. The system works full-time, and there's 6 different drive modes with an electronic locking rear differential. And then if you go for the 802A package like we have, you have a 410 Torsen limited slip front axle as well. And then while fuel economy is not exactly why you buy a Raptor, it still does decent, especially when you compared it to the last generation V8 model. And it comes in at 15 city, 18 highway, 16 combined. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and take it for a quick spin. So hitting the throttle for the first time, just a little bit. That wasn't even full throttle or anything like that, just a partial throttle acceleration. It's insane. I mean, it's hard to even register that something, you know, you're just driving around, it feels huge, and you know, it is huge, and then you hit the gas and you got that type of power on tap that it makes it feel like you're driving a sports car. It doesn't even make sense to your mind that you can be able to accelerate like that. So as we round this corner here, it brings me to one of the other big things I want to talk about. And that, of course, is your Fox live valve shocks. And what those live shocks do, basically, is when you're going around a corner to reduce the body roll, and it would be substantial normally, you know, having such high shocks and whatnot. But what it can do now is basically firm up the inside shocks and then loosen up the outside shocks, and that allows it to basically kind of fall into the turn and not have that bouncing action, that rebound action as you go this way. Of course, like I mentioned in the main part of the review, the steering is fully adjustable, several different drive modes. The steering wheel feels amazing in the hands. It's got a nice heft to it, feels really accurate, you know, not like your typical truck.
And obviously, like in a truck like this, just riding down the road, you feel like you're the king of the road. Especially on something like this, just a regular F-150, you still do feel really high up. But in this car, you actually are a lot higher up than even the F-150. So that definitely gives you that commanding presence that everyone, you know, is really looking for in this type of vehicle. And you're definitely going to grab some attention as well. How's the maneuverability? I know this is a giant truck, but it doesn't seem too bad going through like a parking lot or anything like that.
No, like I said, the steering and the way the truck behaves as far as body roll and stuff make it feel more maneuverable than it really is. Of course, it's massive, so it's not like you feel like you're driving something tiny, but I will say for something so big, I definitely feel more in control than I do in a lot of vehicles that are of equivalent size. Try out the manual mode here briefly. Of course, there are 10 speeds to the transmission, and we've got these really awesome paddle shifters.
This engine has a really neat tone to it. You can definitely hear the turbocharger.
It feels really bizarre manual shifting a pickup truck as well, but you can, and you'll have fun doing it because this is a fun vehicle to drive. And of course, we're just on road. This is not even its habitat that this truck is designed for. You know, this is intended to go off-road, but you know, a lot of reviews don't cover the on-road performance, and we don't really have any place to go off-road, so this is going to give you a different perspective. This is if the average Raptor buyer uses this as an everyday vehicle. This is not something that you just garage until you want to go off-road. So using this like the average buyer would as a regular F-150 day-to-day, I mean, it is so easy to live with. It's just like having the F-150. All the stuff in the cabin is just as nice as a platinum grade F-150, and there's just nothing to complain about. It's awesome to live with day to day.
Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching the first in-depth look at the 2019 Ford F-150 Raptor. Stay watching for a quick look at the pricing, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons below. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.
you.